Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Would you like to have your bird bath refill automatically? Or your hanging baskets watered automatically? Or how about your containers? Today I'm going to show you how to make all of that happen. This is a sprinkler riser. The first thing you're going to do is remove the sprinkler head and replace it with a very important part, which is called a riser adapter with a 1/4 inch barb. Then you're going to replace the sprinkler head on top. All of this is what makes it happen. Let's look at the supplies you will need, and those are going to vary depending on what you're setting up. And don't worry, I'm going to show you specific instances of how we set up our bird baths and our different types of containers. Now here's that riser adapter that I just showed you. You're also going to need 1/4 inch micro tubing. It comes in different colors. The important thing you need to know is that you do not want drip tubing that has holes in it. You'll also need a pair of diagonals, which are also known as wire cutters, and a 1/4 inch barbed valve. Now depending upon what you're working on, you may need some of the 1/4 inch 90-degree elbows, 1/4 inch T's, and or the 1/4 inch splice fittings. And you'll need zip ties. Those are for securing the microtubing to an upright stake. Now bird baths don't need anything special, but here's an example of what we use in our containers. This first one is a little mini sprinkler that DripWorks calls a shrubler, and it's on a little stake so you can anchor it into the soil. Right before it is a 1/4 inch barbed valve, and that helps us control the flow of water to that little sprinkler. This next one is a mister that we use for our hanging baskets, and it has a control valve on it, so we also can control the amount of water coming out it. And then this last one actually is drip tubing that has holes in it already. And we use this for larger containers so it can deliver water over a larger area. So here's a quick example of a simple setup. We've got the sprinkler riser with that special adapter on the top. Here is the micro tubing. You're using a zip tie to secure the micro tubing to the upright. That way it won't accidentally get yanked away and damage this fitting here. And then here is a control valve to control the flow of water. And here is one of those shrubblers. Now, if you need to secure some of this microtubing to the side of your house, you have a couple of options. For one thing, you can use support clamps with nails. These are typically sold for connecting cable TV coax to the side of your house. Your other option is to use a special staple gun called a T25 with staples that are 1/2 inch long. And look at how nicely that fits right over the microtubing. Pretty slick. When we attach microtubing to a sprinkler, this is all part of our sprinkler system, and it is set to run on specific days and for specific times. So for example, to replenish the water in the bird bath or to water a container. So all of this is controlled by a sprinkler system. If you don't have a sprinkler system, don't worry, because you can still set this up. What you're looking at is a battery operated sprinkler timer that is attached to one of our outside faucets, and the microtubing is attached to the timer with a microtubing to hose end adapter. Now let's take a look at the specific setups that we have. And I wanted to clarify something that's really important. We live in hardiness zone 5B, and that means we get very cold winters. Because of this, we need to blow out our sprinkler system every fall. But the great news is that the microtubing and the fittings and all of those setups get through the winter just fine, so we can leave them in place. For the bird bath you saw at the beginning of this video, here is the sprinkler that the microtubing is attached to. The microtubing is buried underneath some of this soil and under the bark mulch over to the bird bath. Here's where the microtubing comes up from the ground. It is attached to a metal stake with zip ties. Here is a control valve, and then we wired it with copper wire so that the tubing would stay pointing at the bird bath, and this is where it fills it up. Here's another of our bird baths. This is a copper one, and I had this really cool little froggy stake, and so we decided that would be the upright support to attach the microtubing to, and there it is. We have found that it takes about 4 minutes to allow for complete change of water in our 2 bird baths. They are both connected to the same sprinkler, and we've also found that the plants that are near that sprinkler are doing just fine with that little extra bit of water each day. Now, to water this pot on our front porch, we have microtubing that is attached to a sprinkler down here. Here is the control valve, and then if I reach into the center of this pot, here is that little shrubler that I was showing you earlier. This works slick. I'm on our front porch now, and we have a couple of picket planters that you've probably seen in videos before. That's where our geraniums are growing. And Bill, who is the mastermind behind all of our irrigation stuff, I have to be honest, is the one who figured out a way to stealthily run microtubing across the porch and to those planters. I would say almost nobody even knows they're there. So at the end of our porch here, there is a sprinkler riser just right next to the house. So Bill ran microtubing up the side of the house, and let me show you how it works. Now this is probably a little hard to see, but when Bill ran the microtubing up to where the roof of our front porch is, he used a 90-degree fitting, and that's because microtubing does not tolerate sharp turns. Then he used one of those special clips that I showed you near the beginning of the video, and then he used the T25 staple gun with the staples to attach it to the top of this area running along the front of our house. When Bill got over the front door, he used another one of those 90-degree fittings to bring the tubing down, and since he knew he wanted to bring water both to the right planter and the left planter, he used one of those T-fittings to split off. And so this one goes down to the right planter, and this one goes over to the left planter. Pretty ingenious. Okay, now we're down at the right picket planter, and I know this is a little hard to see, but this is where Bill used some of the 1/4-inch drip tubing, which has the holes in it, and that's because these planters are about 30 inches long, and so he wanted to be able to deliver water over a larger area. For our 2 hanging baskets on our front porch, Bill did a similar setup like he did with the picket planters. He ran the microtubing along the inside of the soffit here, and what's hanging above each of the hanging baskets is the mister. So let me show you that. I don't know if you can see it, but the mister is right here, and there is a control valve that allows us to control the amount of water coming down so that the pots get the right amount of moisture. Now, as you're setting up your system, it'll be really important to monitor it for a while. You're wanting to make sure that your landscape is getting enough water, but that you're not overwatering your pots or running so much water to fill the bird baths. So you're going to need to monitor them closely. Nothing will kill plants faster than being overwatered. So a lot of times it can help if one of the zones on your sprinkler system can be dedicated to doing something like refilling a bird bath or watering containers. And that's also why those battery-operated sprinkler timers are so handy, because you can set it with a specific task. I hope this video was helpful and interesting. I'm really excited to share this information with you. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. I'll see you next week.